So, you want to build a plane? Today we're going to do a deep dive into what it actually takes to engineer the incredible machines that conquer the skies. We'll walk through the entire 4-year journey of an aeronautical engineering degree, and we're going to use the curriculum from Aeronautical University as our roadmap to see how you go from a first-day student to a full-on flight designer. You ever just look up at a plane carving its way through the clouds and wonder, how in the world does that thing stay up there? And maybe even, could I build something like that? It's a question that gets the imagination going, for sure. But the answer? Well, it's found in years of really dedicated, fascinating study. So what does that journey from just wondering to actually creating really look like?
Okay, so before you even set foot in a classroom, the destination is already mapped out. The whole point of a program like this is to turn you into someone who can not only dream, but can actually do. The mission is to give you the skills to design and build real-world aeronautical systems, to master the same cutting-edge software the pros use every day, and to know how to work as part of a top-tier research team. Think of these as the superpowers you're going to walk away with. So, our journey today is going to follow the exact path a student takes. We'll start with the big-picture dream, then we'll lay the foundation, learn how to master the skies, figure out how to build the machine, and finally, we'll make our final ascent into specialization. First up, the dream of flight. This is all about getting a clear picture of the end goal, figuring out what powerful, specific engineering skills you're setting out to acquire.
All right, on to Section 2, laying the foundation. You can think of your first year as engineering boot camp. It's where you learn the universal language that every single engineer needs to know, no matter what they build.
And this, right here, is the whole philosophy. You don't just walk in on day one and start designing a hypersonic wing. No way. You start by mastering the fundamental tools that make that kind of advanced design even possible. Every huge, complex skill is built on a simple, rock-solid base.
So this first-year toolkit is all about learning to speak the language of engineering. You've got applied calculus, which is basically the language of change and motion. Applied physics gives you the literal rulebook for the universe. Python programming lets you tell powerful computers what to do. And engineering drawing, well, that's the visual language you use to get your ideas out of your head so they can actually be built. It's your essential starter pack.
And now for Section 3, Mastering the Skies. You've packed your toolkit. Now in Year 2, things get really interesting. This is where you focus on the core principles that make flight itself possible.
You know, pretty much everything in aeronautics comes down to these 3 fundamental pillars. First, aerodynamics. How does air flowing over a wing create lift? It's kind of like magic. Second, propulsion. What's the raw power that's pushing this thing through the sky? And third, structures. How do you build a machine that's light enough to fly, but strong enough to not fall apart under incredible forces?
And this isn't just some abstract theory. Those pillars directly become your classes. By just your 4th semester, you're taking low-speed aerodynamics, aircraft propulsion, and aerospace structures. You're tackling the science behind each of those huge, fundamental questions head-on.
Okay, let's jump to Section 4, building the machine. So if Year 2 is all about the what of flight, Year 3 is all about the how. As in, how do all the complex, interconnected systems on a modern aircraft actually work together in harmony?
In this slide perfectly shows the jump in complexity. In Year 2, you master low-speed aerodynamics. You're thinking about the air flowing over a small propeller plane's wing. But then in Year 3, you level up to high-speed aerodynamics. Suddenly, we're talking about the physics of supersonic flight, shock waves, air that actually gets compressed, the kind of forces a fighter jet or a rocket has to handle. Your knowledge has to deepen a lot to solve these much harder problems.
And it's not just about speed. You start learning about the aircraft's brains and nerves. Courses like Flight Dynamics and Control teach you how a plane stays stable. Avionics covers the electronic brains, all the navigation and communication systems. And then you get to dive into these incredibly powerful simulation tools. Things like computational fluid dynamics, which is basically a virtual wind tunnel on your computer, and finite element methods, which is like a digital stress test that tells you if your design can handle the pressure.
And that brings us to our final section, your final ascent. The 4th year is where it all comes together. You've built the foundation, you've mastered the systems, now you get to choose your path and prove what you've learned.
What's so fantastic here is the chance to specialize. This is your choose-your-own-adventure moment. Are you fascinated by space travel? You can dive into orbital mechanics and spacecraft design. Obsessed with next-gen engines? There's hypersonic propulsion. Or maybe you see the future in things like drones and autonomous flight. You get to focus on the stuff that really excites you.
And what does all this lead to? After 4 years, it all comes down to one single number: 8.
That 8 represents the absolute peak of your degree, a massive 8-credit final project. This is it. It's where you take everything you've learned, from calculus back in year 1 to your specialized electives, and you apply it all to one single comprehensive design project. This is your masterpiece.
So, after 4 years, you've gone from asking how to knowing how. You've built the toolkit, you've mastered the principles, and you've specialized your skills. You're no longer just someone who wonders about flight. You're someone who can actually engineer it. The only question left is, where are you going to take those skills? What part of the sky will you conquer next?